Belly fat is genuinely one of the most frustrating things the human body holds on to, and most people trying to lose it are approaching it completely wrong. You can eat well, you can exercise consistently, you can feel like you are doing everything right, and your belly can stubbornly refuse to change for months. Today, we are going to explain exactly why that happens and reveal the most underutilized and surprisingly powerful exercise for finally losing belly fat for good. Before anything else, there's an uncomfortable truth that needs to be addressed about belly fat and how the human body actually loses it. There is no proven exercise on Earth that can specifically target belly fat while leaving other areas unchanged. Spot reduction does not work, regardless of what anyone claims. Research from 1997 established that where your body stores fat and in what order it loses that fat is almost entirely determined by your genetics. For most people, belly fat is one of the last places the body releases stored fat during a calorie deficit, making it exceptionally frustrating to target. The solution is not to find a belly-specific exercise, but to create the consistent calorie deficit that will eventually force your body to burn that belly fat. Running is one of the most popular approaches people take when deciding they want to burn calories and lose weight more quickly.
If a 185-pound person runs at a moderate pace for 30 minutes, they burn approximately 399 calories during that session. Running 3 times per week would theoretically produce roughly 16 additional pounds of fat loss over 1 full year compared to not running at all. Those numbers sound genuinely impressive, and if you actually enjoy running and will stick to it consistently, then running is absolutely a valid and effective approach. But here is the real-world problem with intense cardio approaches that nobody talks about honestly enough in mainstream fitness content. A significant percentage of people who begin running programs quit before they ever see meaningful results, simply because they dread the sessions before they even begin. That was the personal experience for years. Using brutal, intense training sessions to get lean in the short term, then losing all progress when the dread became unsustainable. You can have the most effective fat loss protocol in the world, but if you hate doing it every week, the dropout rate is your real limiting factor. A 2021 meta-analysis reviewing 54 different studies delivered a finding that most people in the fitness world have never been properly told about exercise and fat loss. The research found no statistically significant difference in total fat loss between high-intensity exercise and moderate-intensity exercise when the total calorie burn was matched.
Your body does not preferentially burn more fat just because you are working harder. It burns more fat because you are burning more total calories consistently over time. This finding opens the door to a radically simpler approach that most people dismiss as too easy to actually be effective for losing belly fat: walking. Specifically, brisk walking sustained consistently over time is one of the most powerful and underutilized fat loss tools available to any person in any circumstance. The math for walking looks less impressive than running at first glance, which is exactly why most people dismiss it before understanding the adherence advantage. A 185-pound person walking briskly for 60 minutes burns approximately 356 calories compared to 399 calories from 30 minutes of moderate running. 3 hours of walking per week compared to 90 minutes of running per week would theoretically produce approximately 9 pounds of additional fat loss per year. That is 44% less than the theoretical running result. So running wins on paper and walking loses the comparison when viewed purely as calories per session. But this is where the real-world adherence factor completely reverses the comparison and makes walking the superior choice for most people over the full year. Most people who start consistent walking programs actually maintain them because brisk walking is genuinely pleasant and sustainable in a way that intense cardio simply is not for most humans. Most people who start running programs drop out or significantly reduce frequency before the year is complete because the sessions are unpleasant and recovery demands feel burdensome. The 16 pounds theoretical from running assumes you actually run 3 sessions per week for every single week of an entire year without meaningful interruption. The 9 pounds from walking is more likely to be the actual realized outcome because the sessions are genuinely something most people will actually show up and complete. Research directly supports this. A study had participants do nothing different except walk briskly for 2.5 hours total per week and tracked their progress for 12 weeks. After 12 weeks, the walking-only group lost an additional 3.5 pounds of fat compared to a control group that made no changes to their routine whatsoever. No dietary changes, no additional training, just 2.5 hours of brisk walking per week added to whatever they were already doing in their normal daily lives. Now, here is the most important practical insight about implementing more walking that makes the whole strategy immediately actionable for any person in any lifestyle. You do not need to schedule dedicated 30 to 60-minute walk sessions to dramatically increase your total weekly step count and calorie burn. Start by tracking your current average daily steps for 1 full week using your phone or any basic fitness tracker without changing anything about your routine.
Once you know your baseline, add approximately 2,000 steps to that baseline as your new daily target for the following 2 weeks before reassessing and increasing again. This progressive approach prevents the mistake most people make of suddenly jumping to 10,000 steps when they currently average 2,000, which becomes overwhelming and unsustainable. The most practical ways to increase steps without scheduling dedicated walk sessions include parking further from destinations, walking during phone calls, and taking stairs instead of elevators. Even breaking up prolonged sitting with short movement breaks adds up dramatically across a full day and a full week of accumulated walking time. A particularly interesting study looked specifically at office workers who typically sit for the majority of their working hours during every weekday of the year. The study added just 5 minutes of light walking for every hour of sitting throughout the working day and tracked the cumulative effect over the full year. That seemingly tiny 5-minute addition resulted in approximately 9 pounds of additional fat loss per year without any other changes to diet or exercise routine at all. 5 minutes per hour, 9 pounds per year from the absolute minimum possible effort that still counts as deliberate movement during an otherwise sedentary working day.
There is one genuinely important point that needs to be addressed about why some people walk consistently for months and still do not see meaningful belly fat results. Walking and all other forms of cardio are fat loss accelerators on top of a calorie deficit. They cannot overcome a calorie surplus no matter how consistently performed. If you are eating more than your body burns each day, walking 5 miles daily will not produce fat loss, regardless of how much effort goes into those sessions. The nutritional deficit remains the foundation. Walking is the multiplier that makes the deficit produce results faster and keeps the results accumulating more consistently over time. The combination of a reasonable calorie deficit from diet plus consistent daily movement from walking is what actually drives sustained belly fat reduction over months. You do not need to suffer through exercise sessions you dread to finally lose the belly fat that has been resistant to everything you have tried before. You need to create a consistent calorie deficit and then add enough enjoyable, sustainable movement to keep that deficit working for you week after week without burnout. Walking is that movement for most people. It is free, it requires no equipment, it can be done anywhere, and virtually nobody dreads it enough to stop consistently.
Start where you actually are. Track your current steps. Add 2,000 to your daily target. Build from there, week by week, without rushing the progression. The belly fat will respond. It takes longer than you want and appears last in the sequence your body follows. But the consistent walker will always outlast the inconsistent runner.